Hello everyone, my name is Karine. If you see commercials here, they're not for me. And if you hear anybody trying to rip people off in the comments, that's not me either, so please report them. Okay, let's go. Today I have to say 3 words that came from God yesterday. I usually do not do that because God has never told me to do such a thing. But yesterday He did. So now something's new that is happening. So let me tell you. First of all, I'm in Galatians 4, verse 1. Now I say, as long as the heir is a child, he does not differ at all from a slave, although he is owner of everything. But he is under guardians and managers until the date set by the Father. So also we, while we were children, were held in bondage under the elemental things of the world. But, pay attention here. But when the fullness of the time came, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, so that he might redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons. Because you are sons, God has sent forth the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Therefore you are no longer a slave, but a son or daughter, same thing. And if a son, then an heir through God. Do you understand what this means? This is very deep, people. In there is wrapped up the fullness of times. This is how God works. People focus on days, and they shouldn't, because that's not how God does things. He moves in the fullness of time. The people who tell you days for rapture are not obeying God. They're not getting this idea from God. God did not say to say a date. He told me on this channel, never say a date because you don't know first. And I will tell you when it is. He told me when it is. Okay? But I am never going to say a number. So this is what I'm saying to you. He said yesterday, this is a word from the Lord. He said yesterday, tell these people that instead of being focused on a day and a date, this is what I want them to do. Yes, he imparted this to me. He said, these people are focused on a day and a time, even an hour, some of them. And instead of hanging on to this, they should actually realize what I'm about to do. Okay? And I wrote it right there. I'm about to fulfill my perfect timing. I just read in Hebrews the fullness of time. This is how God works, not in dates and times. Yes, ultimately, there is going to be a locality in this. You are going to be able to locate it when you look back in the date and time. But remember, the earth is a sphere. It's never going to be the same day and the same exact time anywhere in the world at the very same time. So why focus on a day? Anyways, he said this. I'm about to fulfill my perfect timing in open dimensions previously hidden to your understanding. If you, yeah, no, that's not it. Hang on. I have notes everywhere. So yeah, so basically he's about to fulfill the fullness of time for his perfect plan. Okay, I wrote it in one of the comments in the video yesterday for somebody. So you should go to that comment and read it. His perfect time is the end of our struggles and the fulfillment of the 6 days promised to his children. Now, it's almost the complete fulfillment. For the sons of God, the heirs of God, us, it's going to be our reward, opening the dimension of our new life, our eternal rest. For the whole world, though, it's going to be the beginning of the end for them because it's going to be 7 years roughly. 7 years of hell on earth. But at the end of that, there's another bright light because the redemption of all the sons of Israel. At that day, the whole of Israel will be saved. And then it will be the beginning of the millennial, when Christ steps out of heaven and ends all this madness once for all. And Satan will be locked up for 1,000 years. Anyway, so this is what he said. Also, he said another thing. He said 2 more things. So I'm going to tell you this. He said this. You are about to step into heaven and you're about to go through the bema seat judgment. Well, we know that, right? We can read the Bible. We know we're going to be judged, not for our sins. Our works will be evaluated. And so this is what he says. He says, um, I wrote it there. I just want to make sure I say it right. Yes, he says, those who have worked for me and have um, actually appropriated my glory for themselves, their works will be absolutely and thoroughly consumed, and there will be nothing left. Yeah, I was very somber when he said that. At first, I thought he was talking about the people, and I said, well, what? And then hours later, he said, their works, how they appropriated my glory to their own names, for their own glory. And only God gets the glory for anything, right? You should know by now. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. He also said at the end, he said, see, he brought my mind to remembering what happened in Ezekiel 28 to Lucifer. Obviously, we're not compared to Lucifer, but his works, he himself was condemned and smoked that day, right? He got cast out of heaven and he landed on the earth. Well, we're not going to be cast out into condemnation because we are his children. But if we did works with a false motive, with a wrong motive, this is the God who examines the motives of the heart. And so, therefore, our works must be um, the motives of our heart for doing the works for God is not so much the works themselves that is evaluated, is actually your motives for doing them and how you carried them out. So, for example, if you're doing to humanize what looks like an absolute marvelous work for God, right? Well, God looks at the intent of your heart in doing this work. Are you obeying Him and what He told you to do? Or are you taking on yourself to make a name for yourself and a glory? To gather for yourself a crowd of people who worship you. That's what He was talking about. Are you dabbling with the glory of the Lord? If you are, you have to know your works will be utterly consumed and there will be nothing left. So He said, prepare your hearts to meet your Maker. Humble yourself. And all of us should, me included, me first, right? We should all humble our hearts because we're about to step across dimensions and be face to face with our Maker. And therefore, nothing will be hidden. He loves us tremendously, but our person, that's not judged. It's our motives for our works that is judged at the bema seat judgment. So no fear. I'm just telling. There are a lot of people who work actually, they say they work for God, but they actually work for themselves. Okay? And that will be revealed at the bema seat. And yeah, but no fear. There is no glory for us. Just no worries. We just do what God tells us to do each day, one day at a time. That's all we can do. Yeah, one more explanation of the evaluation of our works. All of our works will be evaluated. He said this. He said, if you did a work for me with in your heart the intention of getting something in exchange, like for some people, they work in order to go to heaven. That's completely, that I explained the other video, that will never take you to heaven. No, you don't work for it. Once you are a believer and you are saved, yes, you work for God. You do whatever He says to you. Okay? Now, He's not a slave driver, okay? He's not mean. He doesn't expect any perfection from you. He knows you cannot achieve that. I can't either. He knows that. We're just made of dust, right? But she said this. He said, if you do the works in order to get something back from God or from others, your motives also are wrong. And your works that you did with that spirit in mind, if you did your works with that spirit in mind, they will be consumed and there will be nothing left. So you will not get rewards for these works. That doesn't mean God, in His wonderful sovereignty, cannot use the effects of these works to bless others. But like I said, we are each responsible for our own conduct before God. So when the people come in this channel and say, you telling people all they have to do is believe to be saved? Well, what if they sin? Well, people, if you think that, you need to get your paws off other people's walk because their conduct will be evaluated by God Himself, not by you. You see, their works and their behavior and their sin or lack of sin will be evaluated by God. He leads them to the end, not you. So basically, butt out. Stay out of people's walk of discipleships. It's none of your business. good enough.